So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the globe. I hope I'm audible. Everybody can hear me. Everybody can hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
And a very warm welcome to all our distinguished guests, our speakers and attendees joining us from across the globe through various platforms. Whether you're on Facebook, on YouTube and Instagram, you are warmly welcome to this webinar by the Institute of Tourism. Here at the Tourism Institute, we are thrilled to have you here today for this important discussion on...
You are muted. Unmute yourself.
Oh, okay. Shall I start?
No, just now, just a second, yeah.
Yeah, I think I got muted a bit there. So because I remember unmuting myself. So here at the Tourism Institute, we are thrilled to have you here at this important discussion on Africa's hotel industry and investment. I'm sure it's a topic that is dear to many of you. This is why you are here. My name is Dr. Majaji Ramawela. A lot of people struggle with my name. It's Majaji Ramawela. And I shall be your host and moderator for this webinar session. I'm the Managing Director of Africa Tourism Connect, which does its business in 3 distinct areas of the travel facilitation, event management, and hospitality advisory services. We are also involved in the International Institute for Peace Through Tourism, which is where the Tourism Institute and us collaborate with a lot of work within the tourism industry, as we believe that tourism can be the gateway, or shall we say the catalyst for peacemaking across the world. It is a true privilege for me to guide this conversation and connect with such a diverse and accomplished group of industry leaders and speakers. So today we are talking about Africa's hotel industry and investment. So to get us started, I thought I should share a few insights with you. That Africa is a continent blessed with immense potential, and its hospitality sector is at the heart of economic growth story. You know, I'm sure some of you have heard about the Africa Free Trade Agreement. We believe, those of us who are practitioners in this industry, that tourism is the catalyst sector to be able to help the African continent to implement the Africa Free Trade Agreement and therefore grow its economy. With a rising middle class, improving infrastructure, and a surge in both business and leisure travel, the continent is experiencing a significant hotel development boom. Africa, with a rising middle class and urbanization, of course, growing businesses and its leisure travel, it's a major economy, a major region for any serious investor, whether you are in the hotel industry, which is what we're talking about today, or you are in any other sector. All eyes are looking to Africa. In fact, a recent report by none other than one of our speakers today, his company, W Hospitality Group, and that is Mr. Trevor Ward. In one of the studies they've released lately, it showed a remarkable 13.3% increase in the hotel development pipeline across the African continent early in 2025, with major international hotel chains and investors betting big on the future of this market. The potential for Africa was equally highlighted at the Future Hospitality Summit Africa, which took place in Cape Town recently. I saw Tanya Milner, who is in the audience. She is the director of that conference that took place in Cape Town in June. And last year it was in Windhoek, where major deals were concluded, which is very, very pleasing to the Southern African region, but most importantly for the African continent, to be taken as a serious contender as far as the development of the hotel industry is concerned going into the future. However, like any other region in the world, but more so in Africa, as we all know, navigating this landscape comes with its own set of challenges, from securing financing and managing development costs to understanding regional market nuances. These are the challenges that investors that are active in our continent, some of them have been active for a very, very long time, have cited, but there's many more that they are citing. But as I always say, you don't put anybody down because they've got challenges. As much as there's challenges in Africa, there's also great opportunities. And so today, at this precise moment, we are going to be hearing from leading experts and speakers who are active in the hotel industry in Africa to navigate us through this very, very important sector. And so, over the next 2 hours or less, we will delve into the current trends shaping the market, which is the hospitality and hotel industry market. We are going to explore emerging investment opportunities and gain practical insights from our panel of experts. I know some of them, and believe you me, you are going to really garner a lot of insights in terms of investing in the hotel industry in the African continent. Amongst other, we will cover topics such as Africa's human resources that is required to drive and develop the industry, the hospitality as a catalyst for Africa's economic development and growth, key drivers of growth in Africa's hospitality sector and sustainability, which is very, very key in any investment discussion or growth of any economic sector across the world. We're also going to hear on strategies for overcoming investment hurdles and mitigating risks. And therefore, following our discussion and the presentation we are going to hear and the insights we are going to get today, we will have a dedicated Q&A session at the end. And so please feel free to submit your questions using the chat box at any time. And so to get us started, the stage is set. The conversation is ready, it's ripe, I can feel it in my bones, and the future of African hospitality awaits. Without wasting much time, as we have a packed agenda with distinguished speakers who will contribute to our discussion today. And so to save time, I will introduce them at the time of their session. Safe to say that their names are listed on the posters that was used to publicize this webinar. And so, ladies and gentlemen, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, let me introduce to you our first speaker, who is none other than Mr. Olubenga Sunday. He is the CEO of Tourism Hospitality, who is also the founder of the Hotel Managers School in Nigeria and the convener of the Hotel Managers Conference Africa. And his topic that he's going to share some insights with is on Africa's future hotel managers and investors. Please show some love to welcome me in. You can throw in an emoji to welcome Mr. Sunday to give us his presentation. Mr. Sunday, if you are in the audience, I saw you early on. The stage is yours. Please address the audience. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Doctor. I sincerely appreciate you. And it's a good time together having you moderating this event. Thank you so much. I want to quickly say I'm not going to make a presentation, but I'm going to make an opening speech because for the African Hotel Industry and Investment Summit, I'm a partner. And the president of the Institute of Tourism has advised me that today we are the one hosting our guest speakers, our researchers, and he has advised that I should just make a speech to set the ball rolling. And that's what I'm going to do. This is Olubenga Omotayo from Lagos, Nigeria. Distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, and industry leaders, it's an honor to welcome you to the maiden edition of Africa Hotel Industry and Investment Summit 2025, organized by the esteemed Institute of Tourism, holding today, Wednesday, 20th August 2025. As the CEO and convener of Hotel Managers Conference Africa, the executive vice president of Hotel Managers School, and also the founder of the school, and the CEO of Tourism Hospitality, I'm delighted to stand before this remarkable assembly of visionary and change makers to deliver this opening speech. Let me first acknowledge the invaluable contributions of our key partners, the Meaningful Tourism Center, the Varsity Tourism Academy, of course, Tojum Hospitality, and I'm speaking on their behalf, and the National Black Chamber of Commerce, NBCC. Your commitment to advancing the hospitality and tourism industry in Africa is an inspiration, and this summit will not be possible without your support.
Are we struggling a bit with Mr. Sanders? Can you hear him?
Yes, I think he's hanging sometimes. It's a bit...
Can you hear me, please?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Then hear you suddenly. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. And I want to thank my friend and my brother, Reza Sultani, the president of the Institute of Tourism. African hospitality industry is at a defining moment.
I think, yeah, he has problem with his
the continent
connection.
dynamics growth in tourism. Oh God. All right. African hospitality industry is at a defining moment. The continent dynamics growth in tourism, combined with its rich cultural heritage and untapped investment potential, combined with its rich cultural heritage and untapped investment potential, position it as a global force in the sector. However, the future we envision requires intentional partnership that are transformative, inclusive, and sustainable. Today's discussion are an opportunity for us to explore how collaboration between stakeholders, from investors to educators, can drive innovations, empower communities, and ensure the resilience of our industry. The contributions of organizations like the Meaningful Tourism Center, which champions sustainable tourism practices, and the Diversity Tourism Academy, which fosters inclusivity and cultural sensitivity, are vital examples of how partnership can shape the future. As we prepare for the future collaborations, we must embrace partnerships that address critical areas such as technology, sustainability, and human capital development. The National Black Chamber of Commerce, NBCC, with its focus on empowering business and driving economic opportunities, remind us of the importance of fostering local entrepreneurship and building partnership that uplifts communities. Similarly, organizations like Tojum Hospitality are leading the way in creating innovative solutions that cater for Africa's unique hospitality landscape. Together, we can build alliances that prioritize growth while preserving the values and cultures that make Africa a unique destination for travelers worldwide. In closing, I urge each of us to think beyond traditional frameworks and envision partnership that unlock the full potential of Africa's hospitality industry. The future of tourism and investment in Africa will depend on our ability to collaborate across sectors, and investment in Africa will depend on our ability to collaborate across sectors, embrace diversity, and champion sustainability. And I look forward to the discussions, ideas, and connections that will emerge from this summit. Before I close, I want to congratulate Dr. Reza for putting this together, you and the entire team of the Institute of Tourism and every partners in this movement. This is the beginning, there are big things to do as we progress. I want to believe that as we progress, it's not going to be just here on the webinar. We are going to have a time to come in the future where we will gather together and all stakeholders from across all African countries and from the globe will join us while we discuss hospitality and art development. Thank you for our partners and speakers here present. I want to say thank you to our father, Trevor Ward, for being here. I'm so excited to have him here and every other great speakers. I've seen Dr. Lydia Akunja from Kenya, and I've seen Amiru Adamu from Cameroon. Thank you so much for everyone here present. I want to say thank you once again as we continue and begin this discussion. It's going to be a wonderful time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sunday. Absolutely a wonderful speech to get us started on this important occasion. And ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sunday just reminded to give a shout out to the man of the moment who made this all possible. He keeps on appearing and disappearing. Dr. Riza Soltani, please show your face so you can receive some love.
I'm here. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Give him some love. He's the one who's brought us all together on this important topic. And just to say that, to echo the words of Mr. Sunday, this is the start of many. It's a series that today is a start. This is why you will pick up some general kind of discussion and insight that you receive today. But more of these kind of discussions are going to unfold. And it's very important because we have serious role players in the hotel industry and investment in Africa that are part of this platform. I mentioned earlier Tanya Milner, who runs the Future Hospitality Summit, which took place in Cape Town. He's going to go to Kenya and Nairobi. And Trevor Ward, he's been long playing this game, advising on hotel investment in Africa, urging people who are very hesitant about coming to Africa, mentioning all sorts of excuses why they should not come and invest in Africa. Trevor has been flying the flag out there with a whole lot of other people that I'm sure have joined us today, and some of them we don't know. So whoever you are, when you know the kind of role you've been playing in driving growth through hotels and tourism investment in our continent, lots of love to you, shout out to you as we move on to our second speaker. And our second speaker, we're going to give him a little bit more time because his topic is actually at the center of the topic that we are discussing today. And so allow me to welcome Mr. Trevor Ward from the W Hospitality Group. He's going to talk to us about the development pipeline of the hotel chains in Africa. And, everybody's been recognizing Trevor, and I'm sure, Trevor, you're going to do me a little bit good and try and really talk a little bit about who you are and the work that we've done in your presentation so that people actually do know that we've been at it. This journey of trying to get people to look at Africa differently from a hotel investment and development point of view. It's been a long game. And so over to you, Mr. Trevor Ward. The stage is yours. Give him some love, please, with the emojis. Thank you very much. Trevor?
Machachi, thanks so much for the introduction. Good to see some friends, old friends, and meeting new friends on this webinar. Okay, so some of you know me very well. I've been involved in Africa for more than 30 years in terms of project appraisal. So very involved in growth, in the growth of the hotel and resort industry in Africa. I forget now, but I think my first forays into Africa were Liberia, Angola, and Kenya. I was based in London and traveling backwards and forwards for many years. And then in 2003, I took the crazy leap and left the comfort of London and moved to Lagos, Nigeria. Everyone said I was crazy. Well, maybe I was, but here I am 22 years later. I'm still very, very active in Nigeria, in Ghana, and many other countries around Africa. To date, I've worked in 40 countries out of 54, which ain't so bad. And some of those 14, maybe I don't really want to go to anyway. Anyway, so what I'm going to present today is what I've become a bit known for is the pipeline. And I'll share my presentation. I'll explain what a pipeline means. So I'm hoping very much that you can see my
Yes,
screen.
yes,
Yeah, right.
yes, we can.
So hospitality investment and expansion in Africa. Every year we do a survey, we do a research exercise, a survey of international and regional, in other words, African hotel chains. And our reach this year was 50 hotel chains who have deals signed in 42 countries for 145 of their brands. So, you know, Marriott are working with some 30 odd brands, Accor, much the same. Some are like Four Seasons are single brand. But between the 50 chains, they have 145 brands. They've signed deals for 577 hotels and resorts, 104,444 rooms, and that was 13.3% on growth on 2023. Now, as I said, I'm involved in growth. I'm very involved in growth of the African hospitality industry in Africa. Now, what does this sample represent? It's hotel chains, only hotel chains. I can't track independent hotels. I would never complete. So are there more than 577 future hotels? Of course. What's the number? I don't know what that number might be. Okay, so it is a sample. These are signed deals. These are owner on one side, the chain on the other side, who have signed a legally binding agreement. So the expectation is that these hotels and resorts will happen. And I believe firmly that one can take this sample and these data that I'm going to present as a proxy for investment. They'll show you where it's happening, what kind of hotel it's being directed, or hotel resort it's being directed into, and so and so. So I believe one can extrapolate our data into being investment, not just growth, but investment. Now, this 13.3% growth, tremendous figure, absolutely tremendous figure, but it actually hides the fact that of that growth, 23% was in North Africa, in 4 countries in North Africa, and the 6% was in 38, and 6% growth in 38 countries in sub-Saharan Africa. So growth, an average of growth of 13.3, 23% in North Africa, 6% in sub-Saharan Africa. This is where it's happening. As I said, a proxy for growth. This is where the investment is taking place. One can see that the sheer dominance of North Africa. Again, that's 4 countries. There's no pipeline deals currently in Libya. So 4 countries, Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco, dominate. West Africa has almost a quarter share out of the 5 regions. And that has 13 countries out of the 16 in the region. Not an awful lot happening in Southern Africa, hardly anything happening in Central Africa. East Africa's not bad at all. Instead of showing the countries where there is a branded pipeline, I thought it might be easier to show you where there is no branded pipeline. So these are the countries where there are no future deals for branded hotels in Africa. 12 countries there. Some of them not surprising. They tend to be relatively small countries, as okay, Sudan, Mali, Libya, they're pretty big countries, but conflict, politics, not helping at all. And you will see that this kind of echoes what I call the coup belt, which I'll show you later, and also some very, very small countries there, like Lesotho, Eswatini. They have had branded pipelines, they have branded hotels, not massive opportunities because of the size of the country. These are the top 10 countries. I said that North Africa dominates, and my goodness, Egypt dominates. Egypt has 25% of the entire pipeline in terms of projects, and 35% of the pipeline rooms. It's extraordinary, isn't it? That 1/3 of the pipeline is in one country. Cape Verde is a standout there, makes it into the top 10 at number 5. They tend to have big hotels there, so the number of rooms at an average of almost 400. They have what's called BBBs, big beach boxes. And because of that North Africa dominance, you'll see that four of those North African countries are in the top 4. The top 10. Tanzania is in there at number 9. Tanzania includes Zanzibar, which is one of the current hotspots, particularly for resorts. And in terms of the entire resort pipeline, Zanzibar comes in at number 3 after Sharm el Sheikh in Egypt and Boa Vista in Cape Verde. This is who's doing. We've done the where. This is the who. Again, we have a dominant player in Marriott International. 165 hotels and resorts with almost 30,000 rooms. And you'll see that the big 5 are in there, and they're actually the big 5, Marriott, Hilton, Accor, IHG, also known as Intercontinental Hotels Group, and the Radisson. They represent the top 5 in there. So incredible dominance of Egypt in the where, and Marriott International with all their various brands dominating. Notice the average size of a hotel. Some of the biggest there are the resort players. TUI, and Barcelona have some very, very large resorts in Cape Verde, in Zanzibar mostly. Now let's talk about what's actually happening, because the pipeline is the future. One could say that anything in the future is speculation. Well, yeah, kind of, but some of those hotels and resorts are actually under construction, so less speculation than those which are more hopeful, if you like. Now, what does this show? This is a focus on what's actually happening here in Africa. There's a chart shows the percentage of hotels and resorts that actually opened compared to what the hotel chains anticipated would open. Okay, they opened on time. What do I mean by that? That in 2024, the hotel chains believed that 137 hotels and resorts would open that year, for last year. In actual fact, 59 opened, so that's 38%. So we're looking at actual openings compared to anticipated openings. We had a tremendous result in 2019, 75%. I mean, that's good by anybody's standards. We can understand 2020, 2021, very, very difficult years globally, not just in Africa. And that will be into 2022. I'm mystified still, and probably would never find out why 2023 was so bad. But it was great to see almost double in percentage terms and double in actual terms happening in 2024. This is where those openings were. So lots of ones and twos. Congo, Angola, Benin Republic, 1111. The big player was Morocco. Interesting, Morocco, which was number 2 in terms of the pipeline. 10 hotels and resorts opened in Morocco in 2024. And then you have Tanzania and Kenya at seven each. A standout again now, though, is how little actually happened in Egypt. Egypt dominates the pipeline, recall. There are 143 hotels and resorts in the pipeline, but only 3 hotels and resorts opened in 2024. Why is that? The reason is that so many of those pipeline deals are very young. They were only signed in the last couple of years. So it's too early for those to be opening. But I think we can see a huge opening spree in Egypt in the next couple of years. This is perhaps easier to see. There you have Morocco, by far the largest, top left in red. Kenya, Tanzania in orange in East Africa. And then the others, Egypt, Tunisia, Cote d'Ivoire, and South Africa. I put this list up, don't worry about trying to read it, but these are the 59 hotels and resorts opening in 2024. The point I'm making here is that resorts were almost the same number as city hotels. Yet in the pipeline of future openings, resorts are only about 30% compared to this figure, which is 46% of the openings. Are resorts easier to open? Interesting for debate, that one. To the future. This is where the chains expect to open hotels and resorts this year and into the future. This is investment by owners in hotels and resorts. They expect to open 304 hotels and resorts by the end of next year. This is their expectation. That's 100 up on the last brace, 2024 and 2025, and 3.5 times what actually opened in the last 2 years. It's good to be optimistic about growth, and these figures must be optimistic. As I said, 3 times the actual openings in the last 2 years. But when one considers that, according to the chains that provide these data, 20% of these hotels are not actually yet under construction. I don't think they're going to open by the end of next year. So maybe these expectations are a tad over-egged. What do you think? That's where the openings are anticipated to happen. Again, Morocco and Egypt dominate on the red. Nigeria, almost red, almost brown there in the Beta Benin. Ethiopia's there, Kenya, Tanzania, and South Africa. Interesting yellow streak there. I mentioned the Coup Belt. This almost precisely follows the so-called Coup Belt in Africa, where there's not an awful lot of pipeline. It's very difficult to get funding, and in any event, there are countries there where you just don't want to risk investment and even risk hotel openings and the staff presence. You've got Libya, is there, Central African Republic, and Sudan, not necessarily a part of the coup belt, but they're having their issues. And then some tiny ones like, as I said before, Burundi, Lesotho, and Eswatini. Those are the top 10, much the same as what happened in 2024. Now, I talked about openings as compared to anticipations, 38% in 2024. Here's another way of looking at our performance, the realization of investment in Africa. That, based on data from Lodging Econometrics, it appeared that 13% of their measurement of global pipeline actually opened in 2024. And my data say that we opened 11% in 2024. So we're not so damn far apart, are we? 11% against 13%. So I think that's a much more realistic way of looking at it. Now, I mentioned growth, I mentioned growth, I mentioned growth. The objective is not just signing deals, although you need to sign a deal to get to the objective on an open hotel, that net unit growth, which is so important to the hotel chains. But here's the nub of investment, pipeline, openings, growth in Africa. That again, looking at those Lodging Econometrics data, I calculate that there are about 100 deals per country globally, signed deals for future openings. My data, remember, 577 projects in 54 countries, it's 10 per country. There are not enough deals being signed, so the message to the owners, the message to the chains is keep on signings and see what we can do with this gap between 10 and 100, and see then what we can do to attract investment to get those hotels signed. My data are sourced from this report, which you can find on my website, www.w-hospitalitygroup.com. It's there on the front page to download. Machachi, I hope I haven't gone too much over time. Thank you very much. Over and out.
Over and out. Trevor, thank you so much. No, you haven't. Actually, you had 1 minute left. So thank you so much for that presentation. I was watching the chat box, seeing a bit of activity there. So I'm sure people are, you're all jotting down your questions. Dr. Soltani, I hope we are noting some of the questions that are coming out in the chat box.
Yes, if you don't mind, just want to mention a few important people here. The former Minister of Tourism of Egypt, Dr. Hisham Zazou is here. Thank you so much, sir, for being here. Also, international expert, event expert, a good friend, Mr. Ruud Janssen is also here. Thank you so much for being here. Please continue.
We thank you for joining us. We really appreciate this. All that knowledge, Dr. Soltani, from our previous ministers, it's always good for them to stay tuned to what we're carrying on the legacy of the work that they've put in. Thank you so much, sirs and madams, for joining us. So we're moving on to our next speaker, Dr. Abigail. I hope you're ready in the audience. Dr. Abigail from Sayari Dunai Sustainable Tourism Foundation. And she's going to be talking to us on the topic From Culture to Capital, Leveraging Africa's Creative and Cultural Assets for Hospitality Growth. This is the heart of culture, the motherland of Africa. So Dr. Abigail is going to talk to us about this. Very, very important ingredients to us talking hospitality and giving people some experiences. Dr. Abigail, the stage is yours. Again, ladies and gentlemen, give her some love as she takes over the stage.
Thank you so very much, dear doctor. Am I audible, please?
You are, certainly, doctor. I hope the audience thumbs up, please. Those, if you can hear Dr. Abigail.
Okay, great. Awesome. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for having me. I want to also say thank you to organizers of this wonderful event, Institute of Tourism, Dr. Reza, and the entire team. Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor. It's a great honor to be with you today. I'm not really doing a presentation. I'd rather call this a charge to investors, a charge to every African out there, and a charge to Friends of Africa who are interested in trading with Africa, in visiting Africa as the most desired tourist destination in the world. I'm speaking today on culture to capital, leveraging Africa's creative and cultural assets for hospitality growth. Dear ladies and gentlemen, you would agree with me that Africa is not just a destination. Africa is a story. Africa is a rhythm. Africa is music to your ears. Africa is the dance, the pep in your step. Africa is taste. Africa is heritage that the world is yearning for. When travelers come to Africa, what exactly are they looking for? They do not come only for our landscapes, our safaris or our beaches. They come because they want to feel something. They come because they want to experience something authentic, something deeply human, something they cannot experience anywhere else. That something, dear ladies and gentlemen, is culture. Let's look at Africa's rich cultural wealth. What are we talking about when we're talking about Africa's culture? Our continent is the most culturally diverse on Earth, with over 3,000 ethnic groups and more than 2,000 languages. Africa is a living museum of humanity. We hold treasures that span both tangible and intangible heritage. Our historic sites, the great Zimbabwean ruins, the walls of Benin, the rock-hewn churches of Lalibela, the pyramids of Egypt, or even our creative industries. Nollywood, the world's second largest film industry, Afrobeats and Amapiano from your West Africa and Southern Africa zones, which have become global sounds. Our fashion designers setting trends all over the world, and our cuisine, rich with flavors that tell the story of our land and our people. All of these are just cultural symbols. They are not just cultural symbols. They are economic assets. They are powerful levers for tourism and hospitality growth if the hospitality sector would tap into it and integrate it into its development and investment plans. Why culture is Africa's competitive edge? Why is culture Africa's competitive edge? Now, let's talk about authenticity. Modern travelers want unique experiences. They want immersive experiences. They want destinations they can travel to and feel the community, get involved in the how they live, what makes them happy, what's their history, how do they arrive at their present day living, what's their history. They don't just want a generic hotel stay just to come and stay in a hotel. They want more. Modern day travelers want more. How do we prepare to give them more? They want to taste our spices. They want to see our crafts. They want to hear the stories that make a place alive. What is the economic potential then? When we talk about Africa's culture and integrating this into hospitality investment development. Globally, cultural tourism accounts for 40% of tourism revenue. Yet Africa captures only a little portion. Imagine what happens when we unlock even half of that potential. Let's talk about job creation. Every cultural link in hospitality creates opportunities for artisans, for craftsmen and craftswomen, festival organizers, guides, tour guides, chefs, musicians, young entrepreneurs. And when we're talking about job creation, all these fit into the ecosystem and into the entire value chain. And you can imagine how many jobs can be created through this. Now let's talk about Brand Africa. Culture is what differentiates us from the rest of the world. It is how we move. It is how we live. We're not just another destination. We are a must-visit destination. And this is how we must brand Africa as a destination. And this is to public relations, advertising, branding companies, marketing companies, and our narrative, how we put Africa out there. And this also, of course, integrates into hospitality investment development. So how do we turn this cultural wealth into hospitality growth and investment capital? Allow me to share 5 clear pathways as I close, because like I said, this is a charge, and I've got just 8 minutes to do this. I think I'm about half time now. Cultural integration in hospitality design. This is my first pathway. Hotels and resorts can reflect some and the soul of the communities that they do business in. For instance, a hospitality organization or investment company is targeting the East Africa, for instance, or even the Western region in Africa. They must be able to reflect the soul of the communities that they're doing business in. What is the culture of the place? Not just to do business in isolation, but to integrate into that culture and to bring in that culture into the business and how the hotel presents itself to tourists and guests. Number 2. So number 1 is cultural integration. The second pathway is creative partnerships. So our musicians, our filmmakers, our fashion designers, and visual artists are global brands. Hence, hospitality projects that collaborate with them can deliver unique experiences that resonate both locally and internationally. Number 3, culinary tourism. African tourism, or African cuisine, is vibrant, it's diverse and unforgettable. Why not elevate this within our hotels and restaurants? I mean, this is already happening, but we have to do more. And as well as our festivals. Imagine a curated African food trail, from Ethiopia to Western Africa, to Southern Africa, to Central Africa, even to the island nations. You can imagine how fun that will be. Number 4, heritage and festival tourism are traditional festivals from Osun-Osogbo in Nigeria to the Lake of Stars Festival in Malawi are magnets for both locals and international visitors. By partnering with hospitality operators, they can be scaled into sustainable tourism assets. And number 5, and the last point, diaspora engagement. Perhaps most importantly,
please
sorry about
proceed.
that.
1 minute to go, yes.
Perhaps the most important, this is the most important of all these pathways. Africa's history gives us a deep connection with the African family globally. Sites like Gorée Island in Senegal, Elmina Castle in Ghana, or your Badagry Point of No Return in Nigeria, can all be developed into world-class culture and tourism projects. And this can be classified as return to roots, what is famously known as roots tourism. And it is also an economic bridge between Africa and her global family. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, Africa's greatest export is not oil, it's not minerals, it's not even our wildlife, even though that is part of it. But Africa's greatest export is culture. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abigail, much appreciated. I just made it just after the time allocated. So we know that the insights from our speakers is quite enriching. We've just given them 8 minutes because we want to allow you to also engage them in the end. As we explained in the beginning, we will organize, this is a first of a series where we can have this conversation, but most importantly, we can take conversations to implementation. So Dr. Abigail, thank you so much. You brought in a different element, you know, that it is beyond the mortar and cement and the structures, you know, but then it's about the experiences, because us in the travel space, those who do travel facilitation, you will know that it's not about the buildings, it's about what people experience and what they take back home with them. So thank you so much for that insight. Ladies and gentlemen, moving on very swiftly, it gives me great pleasure to welcome our next speaker, a good friend, you know, based in Cape Town, young man, who's doing some amazing things down under in Northern Australia. We call it Cape Town Down Under, because I'm in Johannesburg. His name is Mr. Murray Clark. He's from a company called Neighbourgood, and he will tell you more about his company and what they do. The 8 minutes allocation that we've given you, Murray, your topic is transforming underutilized buildings into connected communities where all people belong. Very interesting topic, Murray. Talk to us about it. Give him some love, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Underutilized and underloved buildings. Wow. In March of 2020, when that big bad virus came over from Asia, the whole world changed. And with it, how we consume space changes as well. And I won't go into a 2-decade history of why I love the built environment and why I love hospitality as much as I do, because I'd rather be in the present and then talk about the future as well, because that's a lot more exciting. And for us as a company, Neighbourgood is a 5-year-old startup. I feel like we are not toddlers anymore. We are now adolescent teenagers. We have 1,000 odd living and workspaces across 2 cities, Cape Town and San Francisco. And really, it's a reflection of how we see the future of the built environment in the world that we live today. I think in March, April, May, June of 2020, when we were all sitting at home baking banana bread and making sourdough in front of our televisions, when we were all stuck at home in hard lockdown, we had a lot of time to think about what's important to us. And what is important to us? It is community. It is health and wellness. It is sustainability. It is love. It is kindness. It is all of these values that we as Africans stand for. I think for generations, business has really been about one thing, and that's creating profit. But I think COVID gave us the opportunity to rethink what's important in life. And I think that's how we started Neighbourgood. And it was really about rethinking hospitality and rethinking the space between short-term rentals and long-term rentals. Just at a snapshot level, there are 2.4 billion rental homes across the world with little to no brands that exist in that space. And there are close to 18 million hotel rooms in the world. And there's a few thousand very strong brands in that space that dominate. And the conviction for us is that the two worlds are going to get closer and closer together. And you're going to see disruption in living as a category and extended stay as a category. And that's really what Neighbourgood is trying to capitalize on, so to speak. Where we think differently about space is when you're thinking about visiting any one of our beautiful cities, whether it's Cape Town, Cairo, or anywhere in Africa or across the world, you're not thinking just about the hotels that you're staying in. You're thinking about the city and what makes the city exciting. For Cape Town, it's the culture, it's the people, it's the inclusiveness, it is the beautiful buildings, it's the cafes, it's the restaurants. So when we started the company, we wanted to think about that, and we wanted to build infrastructure across the city, and then wrap that up as an all-access passport to the best cities in the world, starting with Cape Town and now San Francisco. So when you come and stay with us in any of our buildings, you don't just get access to a really cool room or apartment, you get access to the whole city. And all of the common areas across all of our buildings are available to you as part of an all-access passport. There's a community of a few thousand people, which does not sleep. It could be coffee meetups, it could be dancing lessons, it could be walks up Table Mountain, it could be First Thursday drinks or supper clubs. There's something happening every night. And that speaks to the connected city neighborhood brand experience that we are trying to build. And again, it's about thinking about product outside of the four walls of a building and thinking about it across an entire city. And then delivering that to our core customer, which is this young at heart human being who values everything I just mentioned: kindness, love, health and wellness, all of those good things, and community, again, which is such a big part of who we are. To achieve that, ground up construction was very difficult because it takes 2 to 3 years, sometimes 4 years, and you get caught up in a development process. And luckily enough, or one of the only lucky things that came out of COVID for us, outside of the way we were able to rethink what sustainability means, is that there were a heck of a lot of buildings that needed to be repurposed. So over those 5 years, we had acquired old hotels that no longer function as well as they should. We have acquired guest houses. We have taken over C, D grade office buildings, and we have really rethought what is the next version of them. At the end of the day, adaptive reuse is absolutely more sustainable and far quicker than ground up construction. Granted, obviously, sometimes it has its own challenges, but we decided to focus for the first few years on specifically executing on adaptive reuse projects. And we bought old hotels like the Townhouse Hotel in Cape Town, and we repurposed branded flagged hotels into our version of a neighborhood product, which is, again, this very collaborative, interesting space for people young and old to stay there for a short or a long time, with far less operating costs at the P&L level, with as much love and enthusiasm as any hospitality will give, and just rethinking again that product. What makes it interesting is when you connect the dots. So when you connect 20, 30, 40 buildings in a city, rather than thinking about how hospitality flags will have 1 or 2 flags in every city, it creates tremendous amount of value for the consumer. Again, if you're coming to visit Cape Town now, you don't have access to just one building. You have access to 20, 30 buildings in a community of a few thousand people. So that is our value proposition summarized. We are now in our second city and on our 4th building in San Francisco. Many of you might know how much challenge that city has had. We like a good challenge, and we like interesting old buildings that need new life. And that is why we are there. And I'm excited about the future. I think really deconstructing the way we used to think about how we consume space and putting it together and delivering it across a city is very, very interesting. And it's the way I think the future will be presented. And it's awesome to connect with all of you today. I've kept it to 8 minutes, and you can give me full marks for that.
Mari, that's a nice way to put it. Full marks for you, hey?
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Mari Clark for you. As you can see, a lot of energy there. They're doing some very, very interesting things there. A whole new type of accommodation for Africa. You know, Africa doesn't have to go back to how other areas have developed their hotel industry, but is to be able to, shall we say, leapfrog to what is trendy or what is relevant right now. People are very, very particular about how much they have to spend when they travel or whatever. But people are also wanting to feel more at home. You know, the concept of home away from home. And that's what Mari and his team are busy doing. Very interesting group of people. that are helping. And I think, this whole thing of sustainability just goes nicely into the work that they do, bringing back old buildings that are no longer used and really bringing the life back into the city. Mari, thank you so much. I hope our audience will have some questions ready for you. So moving on, I told you we have a very nice agenda, packed different stuff. We talk about all sorts of things here in this webinar. Dr. Soltani, a wonderful kind of mix of speakers and topics here. We're learning a lot. So Dr. Lydia Akunja, are you ready for us, my lady? She's a lecturer at the Moore University in Eldoret on the topic of hotel industry review. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together, give some love, show some love to Dr. Akunja as she ascends to the stage to talk to us. 8 minutes to you, Dr. Lydia. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everybody, or good morning, depending on where you're calling from. It's an interesting conversation we are having today on the hotel industry, and specifically on the African continent. And as I talk about the hotel industry review, it is my pleasure to emphasize the role that the industry plays on the African continent, where we are at, and what the future looks like for us as hotel industry players. So the sector, by and large, contributes to the global economic development. And as at 2023, the tourism industry, or rather the hotel industry, contributed $3.3 trillion to the global GDP. What does that tell us? That this is an industry that we cannot ignore. And this is an industry that is at the center of the development, not only of the African continent, but also of the global industry. However, Africa as a continent still lags behind in the benefits that we can get from the hospitality industry. The numbers we have looked at are very encouraging in terms of the entrance to the African continent. We are seeing global players coming into the African market. However, we must also appreciate that there are a number of regional and local players who are coming into the African continent, and they are beginning to shape how the hotel industry on the continent looks like. So really, what do these statistics look like? 330 million jobs as at 2022, 22 million jobs, new jobs created, 80% growth as at the first quarter of 2023. Those are some of the things that we are beginning to say that how do African hotels tap into those numbers that we are seeing globally? So as we get into 2024 and get into 2025, the challenge for us as hotel players on the African continent is to focus on increasing the numbers, increasing job opportunities, and by and large, selling the African spirit of hospitality. So what are some of those factors that are driving the growth of the industry on the African continent? And we say the world is a global village. So some of these factors are not only unique to the African continent, but they are shaping the industry globally. One, increased global economic growth. There is a bit more of stability on the global front, and we begin to tap into that as the African continent. Africans in the diaspora have increasingly invested back at home in hospitality and other recreational activities, and this has continued to propel the growth of the industry on the African continent. Again, we are seeing more affordable airfares. However, this is, we don't know whether it is going to continue to look like it is, but it is relatively more affordable to travel now than it was in the past. if global oil prices do not shift to get higher, then we project that we will be benefiting from this. We have also seen a number of airlines increase their routes to the African continent. I am glad to note that Air Tanzania has introduced a direct flight from Dar es Salaam to Lagos, Nigeria. Kenya Airways is increasing its flight fleet for the African continent. We now have Air Peace traveling, shuttling direct from Nigeria to London. But we also have a number of domestic airlines that have gotten into the African market, and therefore that will continue to propel travel on the African continent. Increased corporate travel, many more corporations are investing in growth. Domestic and regional travel. Today, more than ever, Africans on the African continent are exploring African destinations. We are seeing Nigerians going to Benin. We are seeing, we have seen Kenya as of July remove all visa requirements for most of the African countries so that you can visit Kenya. What does that mean for us as hoteliers? There's going to be an increase in the demand for hotel products. A booming health and wellness segment. Today's travelers are not only going to come to your hotel because they want accommodation. No, they want physical health and also mental health. And therefore, as hoteliers, we can tap into that segment of the market. What does your gym look like? Do you have ultra-modern equipment? Is your equipment in the gym, is your spa, is your sauna Instagram ready? Hotel operators are also expanding their portfolios, and therefore we are seeing mergers, acquisitions, and new entrants into the African continent. We have seen the numbers. Zanzibar is doing very well. Egypt, Morocco, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Nigeria. And it would be interesting for us to take statistics of smaller and regional hotel chains that are opening across the African continent. And of course, the other factor is advancements in technology and digital opportunities. What are some of the trends that are shaping the hospitality industry? Sustainable hospitality practices. Every hotel today is geared towards some element of sustainability, not only because it is a trend, but we have travelers today who are very conscious about sustainability, environmental sustainability, social sustainability, and for you as a business, economic sustainability. The other trend we are seeing is, of course, the advancements of technology. So contactless technology, virtual realities, and creating virtual experiences, and also personalization of services. It is not good enough today to offer the brick and mortar. How does an individual feel when they get into your establishment? And the needs are different. The expectations are different. And therefore, as we use and leverage the existing technologies that we have, how then do we use those technologies in our establishments to give personal experiences to our guests? Embracing experiential tourism and experiential hospitality is another factor. What do you see when you walk into a hotel? And what experiences do we want to sell? Now, here is where hotels must begin to work with not only local communities, but all the other players within the sector who can enhance that experience. So are we going to have cultural dances when we are checking in our guests? Are we going to have acrobats when we are having dinner? Are we going to work together with a specialty restaurant so that we can take our guests there? The list is endless. But when we talk about industry collaborations and working together, those are some of the things we need to begin to explore as an industry.
Dr. Akinja?
Yes, please.
You've got 1 minute to go, please. You got 1 minute to go, please. Sorry to interject.
All right. The other thing we need to look at is, of course, integrating storytelling into selling hotel products. And management with a vision. How do we put together our teams in our hotels to be able to deliver that experience that our guests are looking at? So as we go forward, what do we need to do? Think about talent acquisition and talent retention. Make data-driven decisions as a hotel. And most importantly, focus on your sustainability practices, hard and soft skills, so that you remain competitive as a hotel. Anyone can put up a structure, anyone can put in the physical evidences. However, you have to go that extra mile to give your guests that experience that they are looking for. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Akunja, for that reminder, that presentation, reminding us about the human element, the human touch that needs to feature in everything. If you are saying you are in hospitality, whether you are an investor or whatever it is you call yourself, as long as you want to get involved in the hospitality industry, it's all about the human touch. Because when all is said and done, it's the memories that people take back home. And so people are very much at the center of delivering those exceptional memories, not forgetting the very important issue of sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Dr. Lydia Akunja, who is a lecturer and in this very, very important topic. We really thank you. And please note your questions so that when the Q&A session comes in, we are then able to engage our speakers. We know that we gave them a little time to be able to give us some insights. So I'm sure when you ask them questions, they can explain a lot of other things that they not have had time to be able to explain. Moving on very swiftly at 16:14, which is my time. It gives me great pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, on Facebook, on Instagram, and YouTube. We remember you. Our next speaker is none other than Mr. David Harper from Hotel Partners Africa on the topic, where to invest in Africa. I'm sure those of you who are in touch with people with money in their pockets, you come from families with money, you are itching to put it somewhere. Please put it into Africa. And Mr. Harper is going to tell us exactly where to put it with all that information from Trevor telling us where the pipeline is, who's doing what.
I'm sorry, Mr. Harper is still not here. He got suddenly a visit from the president of Mozambique for some important issues. So he may
he's not here
later on. No, he just let us know. He's trying to join us later on. Yeah.
What a miss. That's a very important session there, Dr. Sultan. But well, let's hope that he will be released to come and give us some insights in that space. Let's respect him. So with that, Amir, are you ready? Amir Adamu from Hospitality Innovation.
Yes, Machachi.
Yes, Trevor.
I do have David's presentation. He decided to drop me in it and said he couldn't make it, and he gave me his presentation. So I don't know whether you want to wait in case he can extricate himself from the presidential clutches in Maputo, or whether you want me to make his presentation. I can assure you that I will be second best.
Okay. He told me he will try to join us later on, maybe, so we can ask him as the last speaker. In the case that he still cannot make it, then Trevor will help.
That's what I was thinking, Trevor. So Trevor, please don't sell yourself short. I think it follows nicely from telling us the pipelines from here to Morocco and wide and pipeline. But it dovetails nicely in your presentation. So please be on standby in case he's not able to join us. We thank you for offering to stand in for him, Trevor.
Standing by.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We appreciate this. So let's move on to our next presentation. And Dr. Sultan will keep us posted as to where David is. And then Trevor is really kindly offered to stand in. We really appreciate that. So let's move on to our next speaker, Mr. Amir Adamu. He's going to talk to us about synergy as a tool for boosting investment in the African hotel industry. He is from the Hospitality Innovation and Leadership Forum in Cameroon. So please, Amir, tell us where in Cameroon are you from? Are you from Douala? Are you from Limbe, I know a few cities out there in Cameroon. It's called the Africa in One, right? They say it's a sample of Africa. That's the country of Cameroon.
Absolutely.
Over to you, Amir. Talk to us.
Thank
Let's
you
give him
very
some
much.
love. Give him some African love, global love on Facebook, Instagram, and what is this other channel? YouTube. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the speaking opportunity today. I want to thank Mr. Sultani. I hope everyone can hear me. I want to thank Mr. Sultani for this wonderful opportunity. My presentation, I am going to try as much as possible to be as brief as I can. Making use of the 8 minutes that have been given to me. I'm going to talk on synergy as a tool to boost African hotel industry investment, and I have tried to classify this presentation into two categories. The first one is synergy in terms of the product, because investment is most at times based 70% based on the product, what you want to invest on, the structure of your investment, the looks of your investment, the beauty of your investment. So we are going to look at, and then the second category will be in the service. After putting up this structure, after investing, what mechanisms are we charged to be putting in place, to ensure that the operations are actually up to standards for public consumption. So let me start. In the product category of synergy, I would like to encourage that we should always learn to collaborate. Before investing, we should always learn to collaborate amongst ourselves, between ourselves and the people who are already in the field in our area of choice. It means in terms of the regulations, a lot of people make the mistake of going to invest in places without getting the background knowledge of that place, what is required in terms of the local laws of that place. We know Africa as a continent, we have a subdivided interest. What are the regional regulations? If you are in West Africa, what are those regulations that have been put in place for you to invest in the East or in the West African hospitality industry? Now you narrow it down to the national level. What are the regulations that have been put in place for you to invest in a country like Nigeria? What are the regulations that have been put in place for you to invest in a country like Tanzania? Now, if you come to countries which are federated nations like Nigeria, we also have, outside the federal laws and regulations that have been put in place, we have state laws that have been put in place. You need to speak with people in the industry at the state level. You want to build a hotel at Victoria Island, look for those people who have already invested and they are succeeding in Victoria Island to put you through the regulations of the Lagos state government on investing in hospitality, on investing in hotel in Lagos state, in the Republic of Nigeria, West Africa. So that is one of the reasons, one of the key synergy elements that are involved in the hospitality industry in Africa. The second one is the structure of the investment. That still is part of the stream from the regulations, but sometimes we are too excited. We want to build a 40-key hotel. We want to build a 500-key hotel. How do we plan on spreading all of those rooms? Are we planning to build a skyscraper of 40 stories? Yes, if we have the resources to do so, we can, but in which area are we supposed to build this? Because people who will give you the lands just want to sell the land. I don't mind selling you my land for $40 million. I just want to make that money off of that place. But if you are planning to build a skyscraper and then the government of this particular place or this particular country is planning to build an airport in the next 5-10 years, what becomes of your investment? That is the questions we should be asking in the future when we are planning to put in $1 billion in a place. Is it futuristic? We should be able to ask ourselves, and we should be able to give this information to enable people not to fall in terms of their investment. Ask from people who are already on ground, who have already succeeded in putting in place structures. Why are their structures not going above 4 floors? You should be able to ask them, and we should also be open. We should stop the idea of negative competition. We should always try to compete healthy. You should be able to tell this person, I'm seeing this, your plan. I'm seeing this blueprint that you are trying to put here. This is 40 stories. Yeah. I don't think it's advisable for you to do so. You can spread your rooms across all the hectares, but you cannot go above 5 stories in this place, because from the time we came here, this is what was said to us. We cannot invest on this kind of structure because airports will come here, a seaport will come here, this and that will come here. So the third element is we should also learn to collaborate with local producers and service providers, because that also mitigates a lot of cost. You should try and learn how to talk to people who are already on ground and find out which products they are using. Are they investing local? Are they using local? Are they using foreign? Because a lot of money is being wasted on importation. I can tell you the truth. 70% of money, of income from hotels across Africa is being spent on importation for the same products that are being sold in our local markets. I remember I was talking to a friend from Kenya 2 months ago, and she was trying to gain from my housekeeping background by asking me to recommend some form of toilet cleaner, the best chemical which can be used to clean these toilet bowls. And I was shocked because there's a company called Soilex. There's a company called Soilex in Kenya, which produces actually the best I've seen in Africa in terms of cleaning agents and cleaning equipment. I am saying so because I used a gift which was given to me last year from the East African Leadership Summit. I went there in Mombasa, and it served me a lot. I have been trying so much to find out if there's someone from Kenya who can get me more of that product. But now this company is based in Kenya, is producing locally, but someone is contacting me to recommend what they can import.
Amir, you've got 1 minute to go, please.
Okay, and then the last one is we should also try to understand the environmental requirements of the places we want to invest in, because many people are interested in CSR, but they are not interested in ESG. And there's a time when the local population of the investment area will be more interested in what you are doing to protect their lives than what you are doing to make them live. You know, you cannot be building schools when you have not created a structure that will enable these people to be healthy enough to go to those schools. So I think I can just stop here for now, if possible. There's a lot, but I think I can stop for now here.
Thank you so much, Amir. Indeed, there is a lot. There is a lot for us to talk about, in terms of, growing this very important sector, which is a great job creator. It's got a lot of downstream, benefits. I always say to folks that the tourism industry is one of the industries that has got the longest value chain. And for me, the clearest picture of how important tourism is to most economies is during COVID. I saw it here in South Africa. Everybody used to take tourism very, it's just the other sector. But you know, immediately when people stopped traveling, the agricultural sector started to suffer because there's no one to eat. There's no one, the hotels are not buying food anymore because there's no one in their hotels. And so the whole thing just goes and goes flat. And so I still have a bone to chew with the major role players in our industry that we may not have captured the essence of what COVID has presented to us in terms of making sure that tourism takes its rightful place in the global economy. But that is topic for another day. So thank you so much, Amir, for that presentation. We really appreciate your insights. Let's move on very, very quickly to invite to the stage to talk to us about hospitality as an economic catalyst and the role of hotels in shaping Africa's hospitality and investment. It gives me great pleasure to invite Ms. Funke, who's coming from Funke Company. She runs her own company. I love it when women run their own companies. You know, it's Women's Month in South Africa. August, Women's Month in South Africa. We celebrate everything women. So over to you, Funke, to be able to talk to us about this wonderful topic. 8 minutes to you, my lady. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm so happy to be here. Amazing moderator. I love you already. Nice to meet you. Thank you, Dr. Reza. Thank you so much for being here. So I'm just going to try and charge because if I speak, I'm a woman, I'll be here for 30 minutes. So I'm going to be really fast with what I've written down. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It has been an engaging and inspiring summit so far. And I must say this because, I mean, Dr. Trevor, everybody, you know, very on point with what they have said so far. But by this point, I'm sure you've heard a lot of facts, figures, forecasts, and all of that. So I'll try to be very sharp and straight to the point. You've asked me to speak for 8 minutes. I said that's perfect because if you're in a hotel and you stay longer, they'll ask you to check out early. So I'm behaving myself. I've spent 2 decades in this industry, training, consulting, building strategies for hospitality businesses. I teach at the Rome Business School Nigeria and other platforms, shaping future leaders. I also serve as Director of Mentorship and Training with the Women in Hospitality Nigeria. And I'm mentioning this to say that hospitality professionals are on the rise, and we are getting ready for the sporadic growth coming. Beyond the classroom, I've worked hand in hand with hotels and restaurants across Africa. And one thing is clear, hospitality in Africa can't be ignored anymore. Now the world already knows that hotels are economic engines. We create jobs, both directly and indirectly. We spark community development, which results in better road networks, stronger internet options, world-class technology, and improved infrastructure. We serve as gateways. More often than not, the first true taste of Africa hospitality for a visitor is not necessarily the airport, but the hotel lobby, the music, the scent, the fragrance, the people. Over the years, I've seen businesses struggle, sometimes very painfully. Yet when expertise, training, money, finance, and strategy are invested, they survive and flourish. I've also seen others who are lucky and they hit the ground running from day one. Both stories highlight our greatest strength as a continent, which is resilience. We fall, we rise, we adapt, and we keep pushing forward. And that's why the world is paying attention. So you might be asking here as an investor, why Africa and why now? Africa is strong, we're energetic, we're full of potential. Domestic tourism is thriving so much. I mean, Dr. Trevor already gave us a lot of insight on that. And international guests are seeking authentic world-class experiences, like Dr. Abigail also said. But let me stress this. This is not Africa for Africa alone. It is Africa to the world. Our brands, our stories, our people are actively shaping global hospitality narratives. As a consultant, I've had the privilege to work with some truly successful indigenous brands. And I'd like to deviate a bit from what Dr. Trevor was talking about, all the hotel chains. I work a lot more with indigenous brands, and we are doing a whole lot in Africa. The Delboro Lagos is one shining example. It has hosted dignitaries from across the globe, including the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Prince Harry, during his visit, said, "Hospitality at the Delboro Lagos is second to none." And Meghan, the Duchess, added, "Attention to detail at the Delboro Lagos is empirical." And I'm so proud to be part of the team that created that experience. This kind of validation reminds us that African hospitality is not just competing on the world stage, it is capable of leading it, and I'm sure you agree with me. But let me be clear, our true asset is not the chandeliers, the marble floors, or the infinity pools. Our true asset is people. Africa's greatest strength has always been her people. This is why I spend so much of my time training, not just big hotels, but also restaurants and boutique properties, because I know that a motivated, skilled team will overcome challenges. I like to say, financial capital must always move with human capital to build excellence. This is important to note as an investor, because as you invest in the property, please invest in your team. It's really important. Now, this is me talking about where I live, Lagos, Nigeria. If you're like me and you've worked in Nigeria, Lagos, during Dirty December, you'll agree it is a unique kind of hospitality test. None like it. Weddings, concerts, endless parties, family reunions, guests everywhere, music booming, kitchens on fire, sometimes literally. Dirty December in 2024 was more than a season, it was a spectacle. Lagos welcomed over 1.2 million visitors, and impact reverberated across the hospitality sector. In fact, according to the Lagos State Bureau of Statistics, the season generated an estimated 111.5 billion naira. And I'm sure Trevor and his team have done their research. I'm sure it's more than, I can be so sure that it's more than this. Hotels were sold out weeks in advance with the rates double. Demand far exceeded supply. This is the power of hospitality, driving revenue, creating jobs, fueling investment, and showcasing the best of who we are. Before I close, let's not forget another strength that the continent has, which Dr. Abigail so nicely captured, is her culture. Africa doesn't just show up, we arrive. I love that. Every bold print in our fabrics, every award-winning song that makes the world dance, every plate of bursting flavor, spicy food that makes you sweat and smile at the same time. Our food is really spicy. All of it travels through hospitality and tourism. Every time someone checks into an African hotel, they're experiencing Africa in its full color, sound, and taste. If you have noticed, I have not focused on the challenges, and oh, they are real. They are many, but I'm responsible for the story I tell of Africa. I choose to tell the story of our promise, our resilience, and our brilliance. And I invite you to do the same, because the story we tell is the Africa the world will see. Finally, let us remember, hotels in Africa are not just places to stay. They are bridges between nations, investors, and communities. They are platforms for culture, growth, and opportunity. And as we look ahead, one truth remains, ladies and gentlemen, hospitality in Africa is an exciting industry. It is our resilience made visible, our culture made tangible, and our future made certain. Thank you very much. I'm sure I did that under 8 minutes.
You have done, you see, women. This is Women's Month, August. On time, my lady, and perfecto. Yeah, you gave us those nice bites, nuggets. And most importantly, I love your focus. You know, a lot of time we tend to focus on the negative, the challenges. In everything, there are challenges. Yeah, and we spend a lot of time on that. Let's spend the time on the other side. What is the other side? The positive side. We talk up Africa. This is one of the things I like to say. Let's talk up brand African. That's what you have just done. Thank you so much, my lady. I appreciate you. I'm sure the audience appreciate you gladly. I'm sure there's some questions that are coming out there. I saw some emojis coming through. Keep them coming, ladies and gentlemen. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. It's wonderful. It encourages our speakers to give out more. So we are just, what do we call it? The home stretch. This is what they say. You know, English is a very nice language. We're on the home stretch. So to take us closer to the home stretch, this was supposed to be our last speaker, but he's not our last speaker because we are still waiting for that insight on where to invest in Africa, because I've got some money in my pocket here. I want to know where to go. Check if my story is straight, you know, the research and what I've been told. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to invite to the stage to address us Walter Alala. He's from Royal Group of Hotels, and he's going to talk to us about how Africa as a focal hotel investment hub, please underline hub, is aligning itself with the future of the hotel industry, in line with the United Nations Tourism Vision 2030. We are the continent of the future, and Mr. Alala is going to talk to us about that, specifically about hotels. Mr. Alala, the stage is over to you. 8 minutes starting right now. Thank you so much.
Ramawela, thank you so much. And I want to take this opportunity to also acknowledge all these wonderful speakers. I'm so honored to be on this regional, or I can say local and international platform. So thanks to Institute of Tourism, my senior Reza Sultan. My topic is quite substantial. Anything to do with the UN tourism or the previous name United Nations World Travel Organization is very huge and deep, but I'll try and summarize. I'm so much happy with my 10 years experience in the aviation sector and 8 years experience in the hotel industry. I'm also so privileged to have traveled across the world. All the speakers, I think I've been to all your countries. So I thank God for that. It's so nice to be cognizant of the fact that there must be some unforeseen driving force behind us that catapult this industry to the next level. And that's where the foundation of my speech plugs in these 4 facets so that it can give me a platform for giving out my points towards the end of my presentation. Let's acknowledge that United Nations Tourism launched sustainability goal in 2015, and the train left with 17 wagons, which are 17 SDGs. The fuel for these 17 SDGs is sustainability. The sustainability is driving towards Vision 2030, but it stops after every 4 years to review. And I'm so glad to let you know that Africa as a continent, we are now alert and aware about that. Actually, the 4 key facets under sustainability is environment, as my colleagues have said, economic, social, and human. But then now, we cannot talk about sustainability, and there is something called the waves of innovation, which is in congruence or aligned to sustainability. We are at the 6th wave of innovation in the world. We are talking about AI, Internet of Things, robotics, the drones, the clean technology, or the green technology. And my colleagues talked about machine learning, AR, and VR. These ones are well aligned to what we are practicing to achieve the Vision 2030 for the United Nations World Travel Organization. And it is supported by us being aware of the generations that we are in. For the first time, we can hear the world talk about generational cocoons. And Gen Zs have helped us demystify this. I'm a Gen X, but we have the millennials and the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas all aligning themselves for the future of taking care of this world. And therefore, we have to acknowledge them in our path to growth, to achieving what is it that we want to make the world better in the future of the hospitality industry. And on top of that, then we also add ice on the cake with what is trending, which my colleague Akunja already talked about. And then we sum it up with the fact that Africa now, we are alert and aware that we have 2 types of hotels to catch up with where the world is headed. We have the classic hotels and we have the modern hotels. The classic hotels have worked on their CapEx to ensure that they refurbish and to be aligned with the current demand and the current type of traveler, which is sustainable traveler, which is very, very health savvy, which is very innovation savvy, and very, very concerned about the sustainability practices in that hotel. And then in the same bracket, we have the modern hotels that are key players that have got green certifications. So all that well mentioned, for us to move forward, I want to acknowledge what UN Tourism aligned with Africa as a continent have been trying to help us achieve Then I'll go to what is it that we as Africans are doing in the hotel industry in line with the SDGs. It is now very obvious that gastronomy tourism has taken a center stage, and UN tourism has been able to help us identify such area of fortress. Africa is vibrant with very, very many cuisines, as one of my colleagues talked about. Music tourism is coming up. There is UN tourism has organized one of the first ever festivals in Kinshasa. It brings peace, it brings harmony, and it brings togetherness. And peace is one of the SDGs mentioned by UN tourism. The brand Africa has also been mentioned. UN tourism is help us get there. Cultural tourism, very, very key. Nigeria, East Africa, and other parts of Africa, Morocco, very, very diverse when it comes to culture. But we cannot also not mention this without talking about investment and innovation. If you pay keenly to what's happening in Rwanda, Rwanda is kind of the Singapore of Africa. A lot of innovation, a lot of tech alignments, a lot of sustainability and environmental awareness, economic development is taking shape in Rwanda. Then we have the ecotourism that is also being echoed so much by UN tourism. And
Took you lights, Abby. Took you lights.
No, I want to go there.
You say?
Hello.
Please, can we mute? iPhone, please mute. Thank you.
Yes. And then to sum it up, behind all this is gender equality, which is one of the pipelines women have been woken up in the continent. They are a fortress and very, very keen on ensuring that they help this industry grow together. I'm very sure they are smiling wherever they are. Now, with all those footprints, then now I can come to the stimulants. What is it that we hoteliers in Africa are doing that are aligned with the Vision 2030? Number one is climate action and green technology. Kenya I'm from Kenya, and we just held one of the biggest climate summits in Africa. We cannot do that if we don't practice sustainability. So you cannot preach wine and you drink water. That is very, very good, resonating with the rest of the world, and is one of the key agendas in the United Nations, which is taking care of the planet. Number two is regional cooperation. I had one of my colleagues also talk about it. Regional economic growth. Look at what Tanzania is just doing with Burundi, launching one of the most ambitious SGR connectivities. Kenya is doing an expressway all the way to Uganda. Ethiopia expanding its airport and stuff like that. Now, skilled workforce, very important. The skilled workforce, the traditionalists, the baby boomers, now we are the millennials, the Gen Zs, very, very savvy. We have to equip them with the best education so that we have sustainable workforce for tomorrow. And that aligns with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 4, which demands for quality education. And you see some head of states offering even free primary and secondary education. Another one is improved infrastructure. Look at the road network in Africa. It's expanding and opening up every day. It's amazing to see how airports are shaping up. Ethiopia is just launching one of the most ambitious airports in Africa. Kenya, we are planning to expand JKIA. Rwanda is collaborating with Qatar Airways to give us one of the most amazing airports. We also have...
Mr. Alala, 1 minute for you. I'm just giving 1 minute. Your time is up, so 1 minute to wrap up, please.
Really?
Yes.
That was fast. Okay, again, then also regional integrations. Africa is coming up and embracing each other in terms of accessibility and in terms of making sure that we also protect our culture and ensure the industry grows. Now, for me to sum it up, I have to say that with all this happening, I challenge us as Africans to also step up and look at the factors that might derail us, like healthcare, pandemics, climate degradation. We have people who are still doing deforestation. We have to protect our animal, crime and civil unrest and politics We have to reduce the level of politics to make our continent more savvy and lucrative and in line with the future of this industry. Thank you so much. I would have gone deeper, but that was very fast.
I like that. This is the thing. You see, you are what we call somebody who's passionate about this industry. As you noted, if I had gone back to all the other speakers, they could have been speaking for the next half an hour, all of them.
All right, thank you so much.
That's a beauty. Thank you so much, Mr. Alala. We really appreciate your insights on this important topic. Bringing the UN into this discussion is absolutely very, very, very important. So can we bring in our dear friend, Trevor, in the absence of David? It looks as if he has not been released in his engagement down here in Maputo. Trevor, my good friend, please step up to deliver that presentation because we are all itching. I saw someone in the comments saying, I've got some money in my pocket, I want to invest. So please tell us where to invest. Over to you, Trevor.
Money in the pocket?
Money in the pocket, yes. I saw someone said, I've got someone, I'm an investor. So I said, this is great news.
All right. Well, I'll do what I can. Please accept that I'm making somebody else's presentation, although David and I are partners in Hotel Partners Africa, and we do work together on a great number of projects in Africa. So here we go. Here's his presentation.
Can we see you, please, Trevor? We love that face of yours.
Can we see that?
Can we see your face?
Yes, we can see the see the
Really?
PowerPoint. Yeah, we can.
You know what I look like, Machachi, after all these years. Okay, alrighty. Okay, so here we go. Where to invest in Africa? David Harper, Hotel Partners Africa. That's where we joined together in Hotel Partners Africa. Before I go to the next slide, I'll say that all of you will probably have different ideas of where investment should be made. And I would say that it's very often as much a subjective decision as an objective decision. An analysis of risk can only ever be a good part subjective. Yes, there are data one can use, but they tend to be backward-looking data as opposed to forward-looking data, if there is such a thing. So, so the opinions here are, take them as being David's and partly my opinions on where to invest in Africa. David says that risk is incorrectly assessed because of the CNN factor. What he means is that we get an awful lot of publicity, and sometimes those of us who know Africa better than others will cringe at what people say about Africa. I once told somebody I had joined a gym in Lagos, and the response was, "Oh, they have things like that in Africa." Yep, they do. And restaurants and AI and sometimes electricity. So one has to understand that the perceptions of persons from outside are very different to those of us inside. So the risks are various. There are many, many risks, but we're listing here country and political, economic and operational, investment and property risk. I'm always of the opinion that somebody new who doesn't know Africa, looking from the outside, will say, forget it. We'll go somewhere else. We'll go to Europe, we'll go to China, wherever it might be. Of course, we would all, I think, on this webinar, that's wrong. That is risk being incorrectly assessed. So I'm going to gloss over this. I did mention this about the coup belt, but there are sadly many unstable countries on the continent. That doesn't mean that there are not opportunities if you are have a particular view of the risk, because some people will say high risk, high reward, and they're not wrong. So I'm going to go to this, why Africa? We've spoken an awful lot in the webinar already about why Africa. I focus an awful lot about growth in terms of supply. That's my specialism in terms of the pipeline and what's actually happening. It is true that there's massive undersupply in many countries, many cities, many resorts of quality product. Risk reward perception is it's a wrong perception. Improving data, the more it's a virtuous cycle, spiral. The more we see growth, the more we see in quality products, the more data is available on which to assess risk and future performance. So many well-known investment locations. Of course, South Africa. South Africa moved ahead of the pack very, very early on with international brands going there as well as local regional brands. So South Africa tops that list with some pretty obvious ones. Zanzibar, I mentioned earlier, as being a prime destination these days for resort and high-end resorts. Zanzibar has improved enormously, primarily in terms of airlift and in terms of a government that understands tourism. And the majority of the countries on that list fall into that category of governments that understand tourism, its benefits in so many respects, not just in job creation, but it also foreign exchange earnings and the image of the country or the city or the resort, because it has got good access, it's got a great airport, and it's got good hotel and resort product. And many unknown opportunities. Sierra Leone, it's relatively stable. This is Lumley Beach, just below Aberdeen in Freetown, the capital of Sierra Leone. It's got some of the best beaches in Africa. And I've been working on a project there for some years about developing a whole new tourism-led city. That image you can see there is actually of the Hilton, which is under construction in Aberdeen, a district of Freetown. Somaliland, Djibouti, Uganda, Benin. Now there's a good example of a government which has adopted tourism as a means of economic growth and is putting their money where their mouth is and is in fact investing in several city hotels and resorts in the country. Ethiopia is going through some growing pains at the moment. But at the same time, I think what you may remember that Ethiopia was number 4 or number 5 in terms of pipeline hotels opening in the future. Libya, it ebbs and flows, doesn't it? That if they could get their politics sorted out, again, Libya has some of the most unbelievable historic sites on the Mediterranean. Even to rival the likes of Egypt and Turkey. Malawi, beautiful country. Algeria, again, city, oil and beach. And the DRC. Now there's an interesting one that we hear an awful lot about what's going on in eastern DRC with the civil war that's going on there with M23 and the Congo forces. Well, there's a company called CHIC, which sees risk in the DRC as something very manageable and has developed a lot of hotels in Kinshasa. And they have a project under construction in Goma. Last time I looked, Goma had been overtaken by the M23 forces. But they told me, I said to them, well, what's happening? We're on hold. They didn't say it's been cancelled or they walked away. It's on hold until the situation stabilized. So even, we'll call it a difficult country like the DRC, there are opportunities for investors like Chick who can understand risk and can accept risk and can work with risk. Safe but not fully explored destinations, including those listed there. There's Angola. A number of these pictures are actually from Angola. Angola, racked by civil war for several decades, what they did not long ago was open themselves up, because having had the worst visa regime in the world, in my opinion, they now have opened it up that a visa online on arrival, but easy compared to no. Yeah, now it's come. And again, I've been talking to an investor there who is planning a couple of hotels in Angola, and Marriott have opened a Protea, one of the first international brands in the country. They've opened a Protea last year in Luanda. Mauritania, relatively stable, massive coastline. Cameroon, the world in one country. I wish more would happen in Cameroon than actually does happen. So thank you for listening to my rapid run through of where is available for investment. The fact is, every country has opportunities. You know, there are 2 pipeline deals in Somalia whose reputation doesn't exactly shine, but I'll tell you that when those 2 hotels open, one is a Sarovar, part of Louvre Hotels, and the other is Rotana, the image of that country will be elevated. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Trevor. I'm clapping the hands. I'm sure the audience are doing the same. We really appreciate you standing for David. He'll be proud, Trevor. You know, you are partners with David. So, you know, David, Trevor, same. You know, like we say here in South Africa, same. You know, you really deliver sterling presentation. We really appreciate it, Trevor. Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been long. We've been listening to our speakers, delivering speeches. It's been a downloading session, so we need an upload. So please, I've been watching the chat when I go off screen. A lot of questions been posted there. Some have been answered. So this is your moment. Dr. Soltani, how much time do we have for Q&A before we close?
Well, actually, because in somehow we are almost the time, so I think we cannot go through the chat questions because are probably over 50. So maybe if there are still some people here who they really have some important question, they can ask. Also, I see still Mr. Ruud Janssen. Maybe he's a real one of the world famous professionals in event management. Ruud, are you here? Maybe you can give some advice for us.
Yeah, Dr. Sultan, let's allow maybe 3 questions or so, then we'll allow the gentleman to come in before we close with the indulgence of the audience. They're still here. I still see 84 people here, so we really thank you for
there are many people.
So please, quickly, I see one hand. Herman has got a hand up. Let me take some 3 questions from the audience at once so that we can allow the speakers to respond before we go to our closing. Going once, going twice, going 3. So we got only one question, Dr. Soltani. Yes, unless I haven't seen a hand somewhere. I've seen only one hand of Herman. So Herman, please unmute and ask your question.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Can you hear me, please?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you. My name is Herman Wanji from Douala in Cameroon. I am a hospitality professional, and currently exercising as a food and beverage manager in one of the oldest still standing hotels in the country, which is 75 years of age now. And the name is Aqua Palace Hotel. So my question goes to Mr. Trevor. Thank you very much for your presentation. If I got you right, during your presentation, you mentioned that Central Africa represents only 5% of hotel development prospects on the continent. Speaking from a Cameroonian perspective, what are the main factors behind this low investment interest in our region? What would, in fact, what would need to change to make countries like Cameroon more attractive to hotel chains? I see during the other presentation you authored for the senior that wasn't available, you mentioned Cameroon as one of the unexploited destinations as well. So my question is that, and I would like to repeat that very quickly. What are the main factors behind this low investment interest in our region, and what would need to change to make countries like Cameroon more attractive to hotel chains? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Herman. While you're preparing to answer, Trevor, because you're very much equal to the question, I know that. I see Mr. Sunday has got his hand up. Late comer into the question section. Please unmute yourself and pose your question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I am thinking, because when Trevor was presenting, I've listened to his presentation a couple of times. This same presentation has been very, very helpful. But sometimes I ask myself, who is doing for the local brand? International chains, the likes of Radisson, the Marriott, but who is going to take that responsibility to have the data of our local brand? Because I'll tell you, in Nigeria, for instance, international chains cannot even take 10% of the market when it comes to hotel rooms available. How many do we have? We have 36 states in Nigeria, for instance. How many states do we even have international chains? And we've been having problem with data. We don't have data. People call now and then. We want the number of rooms here. We want the number of hotels here. Nobody is taking a record of these local brands, local practitioners. What are we doing as practitioners? What do we need to do to get this data on board? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sunday. Basically, Mr. Trevor, I know he's very equal to that task of the question you're asking. It's very, very important for many, many countries in Africa. Reverend Godfrey, you've got your hand as well. Please, that's my third question there before I get the speakers to respond. Mr. Sunday, please, you put your hand down as we welcome Mr. Godfrey to pose his question. Thank you.
It's been a joy and pleasure for this important meeting. I really thank you so much, and especially thank you, Mathasi, for your attitude towards the development and transformation of Africa through tourism and hospitality. I'm Reverend Godfrey Byamukama from Uganda, and I work with the Diocese of Chinchizi as a community health empowerment ministry partnership Uganda, and also in the development department. My hub, resort hub hotel, and investment. It is underway on establishment. We have put some structures, but we are looking for collaboration and partnership so that we can build up this infrastructure for tourism. And we have various aspects of life investment and attractions. So how can we get opportunities for partnership and collaboration so that we can raise this community and this gazetted press for tourism hub hotel?
Thank you so much, Reverend. We appreciate that question. I don't know who's going to take this question, but Trevor, while you're answering those two questions, you can take a stab at it. And I'm thinking if anybody's going to put a hand in here, to try and help the Reverend with his very, very important question. Trevor, over to you.
Okay. let me respond to Sunday first. His question was about local brands, local hotel chains. Looking at my data, they are collected from international chains and regional, i.e. African chains, who are cross-border. I decided 19, 20 years ago when I started this survey that I would never, ever finish if I tried to include domestic chains. Identifying them in the first place would take ages, and then getting the information. The international chains have been very kind in sharing information, and it's this sharing information that is an issue. That I'm all about data. I love data. I love data on future supply or existing supply, but let me give you an example, Sunday, of talking to, just call it a local hotelier. And we say, well, what's your occupancy? What's your annual occupancy? Well, we were full last night. No, that's not what I asked. I was asking a percentage. Well, what do you mean? Well, it's the percentage of rooms that you sold compared to the number you have available. Oh, I don't know. It's just an example of lack of data in all aspects of many hotels and resorts in Africa and elsewhere in the world, for goodness sake. So talking to hotel chains, we can talk the same language. We have uniform language, we have uniform accounting. So but the other thing I'd say, Sunday, is that is a reluctance of hotel chains. I can tell you of, no disrespect, but they tend to be South African hotel chains who refuse to provide data. It's just a cultural thing. So one has to look at my pipeline data for what it is. It is never pretended to be comprehensive. Okay. Having said that, I'm all for supporting local hotel chains as much as I can, and I do, certainly in Nigeria. In terms of the question from Herman regarding Central Africa, it's risk, isn't it? It's risk and reward that those countries in Central Africa, Congo, Brazzaville, DRC, Chad, Gabon, haven't been the most stable countries on the continent. Central African Republic, Equatorial Guinea, and they're just not hot investment destinations for our industry. Mining, fine. Energy, fine. Shipping, infrastructure, fine. But private sector investment is not been top of the top of the list for many investors. And I'm going back to what I said earlier about governments who pay lip service to tourism. They set up a Ministry of Tourism and don't give them any funding. You know, and that is just self-defeating in many respects because they can't afford to go to World Travel Market or FITOR or whatever it is. So what's the point? It's lip service. So if you had a government who really understood tourism, you mentioned Cameroon itself. Cameroon is a fabulous country. It's a world in one country. It has everything, but sadly, and we could debate forever the reasons, nothing much actually happens in Cameroon, sadly. I'll let somebody else take the question about Uganda.
Thank you. Amir, did you want to add to the answering these questions? I see your hand is up.
Yes, I raised my hand in a bid to attempt to answer the question from Uganda.
Yes.
On collaboration.
Please.
So I noticed that the speaker or the question is coming from a clergy. So I may want to answer this question with regards to the personality asking. So in terms of collaboration in investment, in hospitality investment, I think the first approach they should take is trying to source out establishments or organizations which are currently either investing or operating in the line of service which they are hoping to provide. Yes, it means they should look for establishments which have similar objectives to their line of investment in the hospitality structure they want to bring up. So, for example, talking to him as a clergy, they may want to initiate a collaboration with a group in Kenya called the Methodist Group. Methodists also invest heavily in hospitality, have stayed in their Nairobi property. They may also want to reach out to other groups which are ready to invest and collaborate with religious establishments like where he finds himself. And then secondly, also, if they are hoping to collaborate on operational level, is it an operational collaboration they are looking for? They should also try to key in and work with establishments which are more into operational mechanisms geared towards institutions, religious institutions. So collaboration is all about sourcing for people who are working towards your own objectives, who have similar objectives with you. So I think that is what I can say for now regarding that his question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amir and Trevor, for those answers. Two things I just want to add to answering those questions. I think it highlights a very important aspect, Dr. Soltani, about networking. And so in my concluding remarks, I'm referring our delegates here to be able to really go to the Tourism Institute and read up about the work that we do. But most importantly, there is a networking platform. You will find people there that you can collaborate with. So that is just one thing I wanted to say there. But secondly, to Reverend Godfrey, I think be in touch, in addition to what Amir has said, be in touch with the likes of the Uganda Tourism Board. They'll be very, very helpful in terms of just giving you pointers to some of the people you can make connection with. They also have, the Uganda Industrial Corporation, has a hotel investment arm called the Nile Hotel International. Maybe collaborating with them in some of the work that they do could really be helpful. But I think what Amir has indicated, finding people that are in the similar space, have the similar issues, because I heard you talking about community, it's going to be very, very helpful. But again, the most important thing, the Tourism Institute has that networking. And I want to urge the delegates that are here, please go to that website. Please go and join and network with other people that you may not have been able to connect through the chat box within this platform. So on that note, we've run out of time. We were supposed to finish at 1700 hours, my time here in South Africa. Let me give over Rod Jansen to be able to just give us a 5-minute insight. He's been with us throughout the entire discussion. And then it will come back to me to just try and wrap up our conversation, but to also encourage you to come and join us in the future. Rod, it's over to you.
Thank you so much for that spontaneous handover of the microphone. Ruud Jansen here from Switzerland. I've really enjoyed the conversation and the mind-boggling diversity of questions and issues that you're tackling in hotel investment and in the infrastructure that you have in Africa. I've had the pleasure of visiting, traveling, and seeing many different parts of Africa, not directly related to hotels at first, although I am a hotelier, and I am deeply involved in the conference and meetings and events industry. But I'd like to draw two parallels. One of them is the parallel to the internet and how it deployed in Africa, because that was one of the key things that I've been involved in. And what I encourage you to do, if you think about how things grow, there would be two parallels to consider. One of them would be, how did the rollout of the internet succeed across Africa? And what are some of the loopholes and gaps that you have there? And you can draw the 10 parallels. The other thing that I would like you to consider to think about would be how has another destination that at first 60 years ago seemed to be cut off from one situation in a very small micro scale. A city like Singapore celebrating its 60th anniversary this year. What have they done to become the leading player in Southeast Asia? If you look at hotel infrastructure investment, meetings and events, and how airlift and the creation of a complete ecosystem in less than 6 decades has led them to become the leading player in that field. Now, if you draw the parallels between those two worlds and you think about what is happening in the investment world for hotels, then there are some very interesting parallels you can draw. Allow me to give you the top 10 points, just top of mind, to give you a different perspective of looking at this. One of the things Singapore did was one owner of the vision, but many executors, right? So Singapore aligned tourism, urban planning, air policy, investment promotion, and skills under a single strategy. So there was a tourism board, an urban authority, and an economic development that has kind of set the agenda and driven the agenda very clearly. Yet, many different developers have then and executors have taken on the task of doing that and done it in various ways. So if you translate that into what that could mean in terms of hands-on approach, think about things like stand up in a MICE hospitality delivery unit with the power to fast-track permits, land allocation incentives, and event bids through one window, making a centralized approach to approaching that. Second point, precinct first, not plot first, meaning develop areas that are interesting. Hotels work better when a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5-star hotel are co-located into one specific precinct or price bands, where an offering collected to an attraction, and whether it's a convention center or leisure anchors like Trevor was mentioning in various destinations, the precinct first approach to building things like Marina Bay, Sentosa, Orchard Road, etc., things that you might know from Singapore, could be very inspiring. Then I think demand before supply, right? So one thing Singapore has done is build venue calendars by seeding anchor events, industry congresses, trade shows, and tied it to their economic clusters like biomed, fintech, aviation, or things that they specialized in. And then they created a bid and subvention fund to secure 10 to 15 multi-year anchor events aligned with the national interest and the national clusters, which require ROI models and legacy plans and not vanity events, right? So this gives you maybe a very different look at how that first. Then airport and visa policy is a real first stone, right? Meaning hub access, hub status, open skies, efficient visas. And I know these are very big topics that are very difficult to cover at first, unless you wrap your heads around them and come up with a very distinct offering. And there are very distinct initiatives in countries like Rwanda and others that have taken this on very proactively and been very successful. Capital stack diversity and exit paths. Now, these are things where if you enable investment, then you also have to figure out how the financing and how the exit paths of these financings work in practice. And obviously, this is for the investors, something that they're always worried about and trying to figure out how it works. Service excellence as infrastructure, right? So workforce skilling, getting the community of people equipped with the skill set to be able to provide the types of service that will make you distinguish from the others, I think is a very bottom-up first stone approach to creating the quality that will ultimately drive demand into and the need for infrastructure. Digital and data-driven destination management. One of the things we've seen coming from Africa when I was doing a lot of work with the Internet Society is that because sometimes legacy is not there and there is no legacy, you also have no latency, meaning you can innovate much quicker than many other parts of the world because there is less legacy. And that is your competitive advantage. You can build on that really quickly. And then the resilience playbooks. I think, aftershocks of big things that happen, things like COVID and SARS and other things, the way you react to that and the way that that ring fences and rubs off on your destination is something that you can learn a lot from how maybe cities like Singapore or others have taken that on. So just a wildfire of 10 different ideas of things that might inspire you to think about how to do these things differently. We know for a fact, I met Reza Soltani in Kota Kinabalu in Sabah, Malaysia, just earlier this year. And events and business events bring initiative, groups of people together that mesh networks and then create systems, right? Events are the core driver of what people want and how people get together. They drive business, they drive tourism, they drive business tourism, although those two words contaminate each other in the worst possible way. But I would say that people go in the direction of the change they're looking for. All you have to figure out is how do you create value for them? And that's through the behavior change that you enable. So on that note, I throw the ball back to you, if I may, to the dear host of the Institute of Tourism. And it was an absolute joy to be with you.
Well, thank you so much. You want to talk about throwing back the ball. How about a beautiful, insightful thoughts presentation you shared with us from somebody who's just been hijacked? How's that? So you had prepared, huh? Because I saw people jotting down some of this insightful information you're giving us. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your input. So we are way out of time. So I thought, let me do the honors and really just close this discussion, minding that the networking doesn't stop. Please, let's not stop. Let's connect and be able to, if you haven't been able to ask questions here, please go to our website and be able to network with us. So thank you so much to all our speakers for your incredible, insightful speeches and remarks. To our audience, both on Zoom, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, we really like to having you here. I was watching the numbers here. At one point, we were hovering, Dr. Soltani, we were at 98 people, Zoom joining in. I don't know what the numbers look like on the other side, but I'm sure we have had a lot of people joining us on this important session. We have heard today that the African hotel industry is on a clear and competitive growth trajectory. The development pipeline is strong, with significant growth in key markets like Egypt and Morocco, and investment interest in robust, increasingly focusing on conversions and brownfield deals. We touch on what has happened in Central Africa, Cameroon, the world in one country, many other spaces. I was reading the latest news from the AU, and they were saying they're going to urge the world to have a proper representation of the African map. Because when you look at the map, it looks as if Africa is a very small place, yet the whole of Europe and the USA, they can all fit into Africa. So very important as part of talking brand Africa up. However, we must also acknowledge the challenges that remain. These include navigating complex financing structures, which we didn't touch at all today, managing currency volatility, which is one of the things cited by investors when it comes to Africa. Not Africa alone, most developing countries have these issues. There is a whole issue of illicit flow of money. Money doesn't stay in this kind of countries. That is also a concern. And addressing bottlenecks in the development process of hotels or whatever it is, infrastructure that you may be wanting to put in a developing region. The panelists and the speakers we've had highlighted the critical importance of adopting sector-specific expertise in project planning and execution, emphasizing that a one-size-fits-all approach to real estate will not suffice for our beautiful industry of hospitality. Ultimately, the future of the hotel industry in Africa is not just about building more hotels. It's about building smarter, with an emphasis on sustainability, technology, and creating authentic, culture-rich experiences. As one of our speakers mentioned, the real metric of success will be the ability to convert these ambitious pipelines into operational, resilient, and profitable assets for the investors, local communities, and the countries in which this investment are taking place. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to extend a huge thank and gratitude to the organizer of this webinar, Dr. Reza Soltani. Stand ovation to you, sir, from the Tourism Institute, our expert panelists for sharing their invaluable perspectives, And to all of you for your active participation, joining us using various social media platforms, as I mentioned earlier. Your questions and engagement have made this a truly dynamic and informative discussion. I watched it going through on the chat channel. And so as we conclude this webinar, for more information and insights, please visit the Tourism Institute website. We look forward to welcoming you to our next webinar, as this was the start to a series we will organize because the hotel industry has a lot of issues that we need to unpack, whether it's Africa or the world, so that we have an understanding. Because one of the problems that I've always, and Trevor will know this, I've always organized it when we go to investment conference across the world. It's us teaching the would-be investor, the one that has got money, old money, new money, about how to get involved with this industry. A lot of times people do announce that they're going to do a hotel, a pipeline is announced, but then a hotel never sees the day of life. Why? Because there was a conflict that emerged between the developer and whoever the brand they've chosen, whether it's got to do with money or how the contract has come to fruition. A lot of money goes down, and it takes a very long time for people to get the rewards, because there is this perception that you can make some quick money in the hotel industry. It is not. It's a long haul investment. So we need to educate as many people so that they come into our industry with their eyes open. But at the end of the day, this is the continent of the future with the youngest population. We can only do justice by talking Brand Africa up and sharing the knowledge so that people come in with their eyes open. We have to grow our economies and develop this continent. On that note, let me invite Dr. Soltani to really, if you want to say a few words before we close, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Soltani, over to you, please.
Thank you so much. It's still almost 80 people just in the Zoom and others, so it is really wonderful. And thank you so much. Especially, please put your hand together for our wonderful, amazing moderator, Dr. Maravella. Thank you so much. I just want to say that everything is recorded, and everything, like all other events that we are doing, will be edited and will be from tomorrow available on the website, including every speaker has its own dedicated page, and you can even contact them if you want to contact them. And we have created also just a few days ago a networking function for the Africa tourism. And is growing. We already have over 150 people subscribed, tourism professionals from the hotel industry to the ministries and the governments and so on. And the list is growing, so it looks really good. I really look forward also to work with all of you, and thank you so much, all the speakers. It was really good. So we will be back soon, and definitely with you, as we are both also in the same organization, International Institute for Peace Through Tourism, and for the International Day of Peace, we are going to organize several events as well. So thank you so much, and God bless you, and God bless all the people of Africa. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Dr. Soltani. Thank you. Give a round of applause to yourself, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you. Lots of love. Please have a lovely day.
For you. Thank you, and all the speakers and all the viewers everywhere. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless.